stray. A simple world where love would bloom in every corner of the living room. Oh, the golden thread, it ties us tight through black and white into the light. A reel of love, it's always there. Classic moments beyond compare.
Welcome back to The Golden Thread. These episodes are brought to you by the Classic TV Preservation Society, founded by Herbie J. Pilato. There are certain television shows that arrive wrapped in fantasy, yet inside them is something deeply human, something quietly profound. Fantasy Island was one of those shows. At first glance, the premise seems simple enough. A mysterious tropical island where wealthy guests arrive to live out their greatest dreams. Each guest pays a large sum of money for the chance to experience a fantasy that cannot be realized anywhere else in the world. But if you look closely, really look, you begin to see that the island was never truly about fantasies at all. It was about people, about the wounds they carry, about the illusions they chase, and about the deeper truths they often discover along the way. The guide through all of this is the island's host, the enigmatic Mr. Rourke. Calm, composed, and seemingly always aware of more than he says. Rourke welcomes each guest with dignity and quiet insight. By his side is Tattoo, his loyal assistant, whose curiosity often mirrors our own. Together they greet the guests who arrive by seaplane to the island's lagoon, each one carrying a dream they believe will finally give them what they've been missing. But the island has a way of revealing something deeper. And in the pilot episode, we meet three men whose desires expose two powerful lessons about the human heart. The first guest is J.K. Parker. Parker is introduced as one of the richest men in the world, a titan of industry, a man whose name appears in magazines beside headlines celebrating unimaginable wealth. To the outside world, Parker has everything: power, success, money beyond measure. Yet, when Mr. Rourke sits down with him over dinner, something quietly painful begins to surface. Rourke observes Parker with gentle curiosity and asks about the wealth he has accumulated. Parker acknowledges it without pride or excitement. In fact, there's a certain exhaustion in his voice. Because Parker has discovered something that many people only imagine from afar. There comes a point when wealth no longer feels like freedom. Instead, it becomes a barrier. Parker explains that everywhere he goes, people look at him and see only one thing: his money. Every conversation feels transactional. Every relationship carries suspicion. Who truly likes him? Who simply wants access to his fortune? Who sees him as a human being and who sees only a bank account with a heartbeat? Over time, Parker has come to believe something deeply lonely, that no one really sees him anymore. And so his fantasy is simple. For 3 days, he wants to live as an ordinary man. No money, no identity, no reputation. Just a man named Joe. Mr. Rourke grants the request in a very particular way. Parker must give up every symbol of his wealth, his identification, his cash, his credit cards. For the next 3 days, he will work like any other man on the island, earning his meals and living without the armor of his fortune. And Parker surprises Rourke with his response. He welcomes it. Because somewhere inside him, is a quiet hope that perhaps just for a moment, someone might speak to him without calculating what he's worth. Not his net worth, his human worth. And already the island is gently revealing its lesson. So often we believe that happiness lies in acquiring more success, more recognition, more power. But Parker's story reminds us that when people stop seeing who we are and begin seeing only what we have, something essential is lost. Love cannot grow in that soil. Connection cannot survive there. True friendship cannot take root. And sometimes the greatest gift is not gaining something new. Sometimes the greatest gift is stripping away everything that hides our humanity until we can be seen again. Just as Parker begins his journey toward rediscovering himself, two other guests arrive on the island carrying a far more dangerous dream. Jason Granger and Peter Silbert. Both men are accomplished professionals, successful, intelligent, and outwardly respectable. But beneath their composed exteriors lies a hatred that has been burning for years. The source of that hatred is a tangled history involving business betrayal and the love of the same woman. Each man believes the other stole something precious from him. One believes the other stole his success, and the other believes his rival stole the woman he loved. Over time, their anger hardened into something much darker. Resentment, then bitterness, then something far more destructive, a desire for revenge. Each man arrives at Fantasy Island with the same fantasy: to kill the other. It is the kind of request that could easily turn the island into something grotesque. But Mr. Rourke has no intention of indulging simple brutality. Instead, he does something unexpected, of course. He introduces them to Sandor. Sandor is a massive man who serves as the island's arena master, a former gladiator of sorts. Sandor trains men in the discipline of combat, not the chaotic violence of rage, but the structured mastery of skill. When Rourke explains the situation, he tells Sandor that these two men believe they want to kill one another. But before anything else happens, they must train. They must learn control, and they must learn discipline. They must learn what it truly means to face another human being with a weapon in their hands. Sandor accepts the task with stern authority. He tells them something that cuts directly through their fury. There will be no butchery here. If they insist on fighting, they will first learn patience. They will learn restraint. They will learn the weight of what they are asking to do. And as the training begins, something remarkable starts to happen. Hatred that once felt simple begins to feel complicated. Anger that once felt justified begins to feel heavy. Because when two men spend time facing each other not as distant enemies, but as human beings sharing the same space, breathing the same air, sweating through the same struggle, something shifts. The illusion of revenge begins to crumble. Rourke understood this from the very beginning. Hatred thrives in distance, when you don't have to see it right there. In stories we tell ourselves, in simplified versions of the past where we are always the victim and the other person is always the villain. But when two people truly confront each other, not with rage, but with presence, they begin to see the deeper truth. Both men have been wounded. Both men have made mistakes, and both men have been carrying the same burden for years. And the island slowly reveals a question they had never truly asked themselves. What will killing the other man actually give you? Peace? Closure? Or simply another wound that will follow you for the rest of your life? The brilliance of Fantasy Island lies in this quiet transformation. The island does not simply grant wishes. It reveals the truth hidden inside of them. A man who believed money would bring happiness discovers that wealth can isolate the soul. Two men who believed revenge would bring satisfaction begin to realize that hatred has been poisoning them for years. And Mr. Rourke watches it all unfold with the calm understanding of someone who knows something the guests do not. The fantasies people request are rarely the things that they truly need, because the human heart is complicated. We often chase solutions that seem obvious: more success, more validation, more vengeance. But beneath those desires are deeper needs: to be seen, to be forgiven, to forgive, to reconnect with the humanity we sometimes lose along the way. And that is the golden thread woven through this first journey to Fantasy Island. The dreams we chase often reveal the wounds we carry. But when we are brave enough to face those wounds, when we allow truth to replace illusion, something extraordinary becomes possible. Healing. Because sometimes the greatest fantasy is not power or wealth or revenge even. Sometimes the greatest fantasy of all is rediscovering our humanity and remembering that compassion is the only path that truly sets us free. Guys, it's easy for us to support something like a war when we don't have to look the other person in the face. But if they were standing right in front of you, a father, a mother, a child, that's a whole different ballgame. I'll talk to you next weekend, you guys. Have a great one. Love you.